Well, I was surprised by this turn of events. A TV show spin-off sequel to a movie is never really a promising pitch. Thanks, Marvel, for poisoning the well. But in a truly astonishing change, DC has come out swinging with the Penguin, and going by the first episode, it's solid. Now that's not high praise, but come on, we're talking about another attempt to build a DC universe, and as we all know, they haven't done a great job of it thus far. So I think a solid start is good, all things considered. The Penguin continues the events from The Batman. Gotham is reeling from the destruction wrought by flooding due to the Riddler's terror attack, and there's a tremendous power vacuum amongst underworld figures. Oz Cobb, the Penguin, is working for the Falcone family, but is harboring his own grand ambitions to become the king of Gotham. I won't spoil the opening events, but certain actions trigger a manhunt amongst the Falcones and places a target on Cobb's back. With few options and plenty of enemies, Cobb begins his rise to power by playing the Falcone and Maroni families against one another, all while scheming to take over Gotham's drug trade himself. The Penguin's debut episode was a functional and enjoyable ride, but let's be real. This is an attempt to make a show like The Sopranos for people who won't consider watching something unless it's based on comic book IP. So, does that really work? Well, no. Certainly not as a TV show which should aspire to stand the test of time. The Penguin will be forgotten within a year. But as something you could watch when you've got some downtime, absolutely, it was fun. I mean, you could always just rewatch The Sopranos, but let's put that aside for now and say The Penguin is perfectly acceptable escapism. Colin Farrell and Kristen Milotti both did a good job as Oz Cobb and Sophia Falcone respectively. Each plays a unique brand of psychopath convincingly, one more unhinged than the other, but each dangerous and not to be underestimated. It was fun to watch them work, though it must be said that Farrell had the benefits of prosthetics to help sell the devilish image, while Milotti really had to shine with nothing but her eyes. So MVP of this episode goes to Milotti in my book based on that alone. Everyone else in The Penguin is competent. Or rather, I should say, everything else in this show is competent. Which is disappointing because while The Penguin is fun, it is also uninspired. There's nothing here that would make you think, wow, what an interesting take. Instead, you're given generic mob conversations and generic attempts at humour to endear villainous characters, and all the usual TV stuff that is inserted into a story to pad it out. For instance, there's the mentor-mentee relationship between Oz and Vic, a homeless teenager who Cobb ropes into helping him at the start of the show. Their dynamic is enjoyable, but it's something you've seen before. We all know that Vic is there to humanize Cobb so that he becomes more of an anti-hero. While this is a silly idea, just look at all the Sony movies where they're trying to make Spidey's villains more accessible, it was still well done by the creative team such that you can go along for the ride. The cinematography is functional and at times quite attractive, but there's a tremendous over-reliance on bokeh with a heaping helping of talking head at the expense of images which are carefully constructed. So again, it's functional fare. Now, while I thought Kristen Milotti was good, I can't help but think that we're staring down the barrel of another girl boss replacing the male hero in their own show situation. Again, thanks Marvel for poisoning the well. You could have had it all, but you ruined everything with obnoxious writing. So we'll have to wait and see if the Penguin show morphs into the Sophia Falcone show over the next few episodes. If the Penguin can avoid this, or padding its runtime with lame attempts to justify Oz Cobb as a misunderstood villain, then you should have something with broad appeal and a little bit of a grit to it, much like the Netflix Marvel shows, which passed away far too soon. All up, I'd give the debut episode a solid 7, because while anyone could have written and directed it, I can't deny that fun TV delivered competently is worthy of a passing grade.
What are you gonna do to get it?
Trust me. It's just the beginning.